Right. Alright, it's 11 o'clock, so I'm going to get started here. Hopefully some people will join us, or already are. And if you're watching, welcome. I'm Katie. I'm one of the designers for The Silver Lining, and figured we'd start doing some streams, checking out the old episodes, since we're going to be putting out episode 5 this year, finally. Feel free to ask questions about the game, or the studio, or the weather, whatever, in the chat. And I'll get going in just a few minutes here. I see at least Chris is here. Hi, Chris. Let's see. Gonna do myself the favor of retweeting myself, because I can do that. That window. Alright. Well, give a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, let's jump into The Silver Lining, Episode 1. Episode 1, What is Decreed Must Be. When the royal family is once again threatened by the forces of evil, King Graham of Daventry embarks on a journey across the Green Isles and through a menacing storm in search of the knowledge of the Great Oracle. Will he find the answers he seeks? What is the cause of the strange events surrounding the Green Isles? And what is the identity of the mysterious cloaked man? Find out in the exciting first episode of the long-awaited The Silver Lining. I will adjust my mic accordingly. I finally got a microphone headset, as you can see. Alright, how's that? Let me know how the microphone and especially compared to the game audio settings are. I can adjust the volumes a little bit. Welcome back, Ray! This stream is for real this time. And I'll just up front say, pardon my sniffing now and then, got a little bit of cold. Mostly getting over it, but... And here we go. I still love this opening. To Roberta and all those who dare to dream. Old school Phoenix Online logo. Oh, it didn't even... Oh, there's the bird cry. Okay, it did have that. Into the land of the Green Isles. Happy 21st birthday, King Alexander and Princess Rosella. Just to the benefit of Edgar. Now he only needs to remember one day to get both his anniversary and the wedding anniversary and the birthday of his wife right. So. A cast of familiar faces. That's right, Pan is here. Short ceremony, just skip right to the rings. The moment that made it look like they were having an affair. Good catch, Edgar. And King Graham steels himself for what comes next. The Silver Lion. Yeah, our tearjerker opening.
What's wrong with him?
That's what we're all wondering, my dear.
It was evil. It was pure evil.
Did you get a good look at the stranger before he vanished?
No. It was all too sudden, and he was wrapped in that cloak. I just know he lifted his hand in Rosella.
Who was that stranger? And why did he do this to our children?
I don't know, but if this spell can be cast so easily, there has to be a way to undo it.
There has to be one, my lady, but I'm afraid I know not how.
Shamir?
This magic is foreign to me, sire. I've never seen a thing like it.
Do you know anyone who might know what this magic is?
I do. The Oracle of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain. Her knowledge is greater than the ocean, but very few people are ever allowed to see her.
She will have to see me.
My love, you're not...
I most certainly am.
Your Majesty, if you're going to seek the Oracle, I'm going to.
No, son. We don't know what we're up against. You have to stay here with Rosella. This is my duty, and that is yours.
But...
You must stay here, do you understand?
Yes.
I'll stay here with them as well.
You do that, my love. I promise I'll be back. Farewell, my dear.
Good luck, sire. May this curse be lifted from us before it does us any more harm.
Right. And now we finally get to play. Yay! So here we start. in the Castle of the Crown. Jason Michael Victor is Graham, who later went on to be the new voice of Gabriel Knight in the GK 20th Anniversary remake. Got our classic 5-icon interface here. And if you haven't played this one or hadn't been a while, you can double-click to run. And if you go to the edge of the screen, actually it might not work in here, but if it highlights up in gold, it means you can just keep walking until you get to the next screen. Let's check out some of our
guards
buds
remain on
here.
duty, as ordered by Captain Saladin. This guard dog looks like some type of herding dog.
Hey, think we'll fight anyone?
They also will have conversations.
What?
Yes, he was also Robert Cognition, that's right.
Heroes. Everyone in the Green Isles would know our name. Don't be a fool.
Yeah, the guard dogs have conversations every so often when you're in the hallways.
They'd be attacking more than just us.
The guards remain on duty. Though most of the guard dogs in the castle seem to be purebreds, this one appears to be a mix of several breeds. Though his respect for these creatures wouldn't permit Graham to call this dog a mutt.
Don't go looking for bad guys when it is
He's
either.
polite. Let's have a chat.
Is everything all right in there?
Yes, just be prepared. We don't know what else may come.
We will, Your Majesty.
Take a look at the Castle
There's
Crown.
a thick air overwhelming the hallways. Graham can almost hear Valenice's scream echoing from when she found Alexander lying on the floor, almost lifeless. Frantic memories of her rushed steps as she tried to make her way back into the garden where it would have been already too late, reverberated in his ears. Had Graham had her intuition? Would he have felt something was about to happen to their children as well? Could he have done something more to spare at least Rosella?
One guard dog is French. We had Richard Hoole,
I should hope not.
the programmer, who was with us for a while, do his voice. Just kind of for fun. There wasn't any particular reason. But the guard dogs overall are all voiced by people on the team.
Califim and Ilaria, Casima's parents. Graham and his wife Valenice are staying in the room behind that door. Graham finds it quite different than what he's used to, but beautiful just the same.
So let's go into our room. The two guard dogs back there were voiced by Michael Fortunato and Neil Rodriguez, I believe. And here we are in Graham's room. Let's take a look around.
The ornamented bed and soft mattress are a perfect incubator for some of the nicest dreams Graham has ever had. Still, there's nothing like the warmth and comfort of one's own bed, Graham thinks to himself.
This mirror over here. I think this triggers a nice little moment.
Valenice, Casima, and the maids dressed Rosella in this room. Graham remembers how she looked at herself in the mirror, breathtakingly beautiful in her splendorous white wedding gown.
And enormous one white rose. I just thought that was a nice touch, having her show up and the little memory of her there. Familiar outfit.
Even if people tend to confuse him for a commoner, this will always be Graham's favorite outfit. These have always come in handy for Graham to store his valuable items in.
Those and his never-ending pockets.
Valenice adored the exquisite stained glass windows. She asked Casima about them a few nights ago when they went to have dinner at the village inn, wondering if it would be possible to have some made for a few windows at Castle Daventry.
Check out the balcony. There it is, still raining.
Miles away, the sea and the rain reunite once again. Graham breathes slowly, knowing that somewhere outside he will also find the answers that will reunite him with his children. Valenice and the others are counting on him. One of Daventry's coins. Graham found it in one of his pockets the night of his arrival as he was getting ready for bed. He must have left it here and forgotten all about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's shiny, so I want it. And we'll head back inside. Wouldn't do to get our nice things wet. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and change up the digs. That's good. Glad to know it's better. That's interesting because I haven't done much different, but
To journey once more.
hero moment. Oh, now we get a music change. Let's go dig around in this chest over here.
These have always come in. Inside, Graham finds some gold coins stamped with the insignia of the Green Isles, which Alexander gave him upon their arrival.
These will surely come in handy.
Inside, Graham finds some gold coins stamped with the insignia of the Green Isles, which Alexander gave him upon their arrival.
These will surely...
Yes, they will. So handy I had to say it twice. I like that we had money be an actual solution for a couple of puzzles, because sometimes in adventure games you run into situations where you know, it seems like the obvious solution should be so very obvious and accessible, and yet we kind of make people jump through hoops. So for this one, it's like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and let money solve some of the problems. You are a king, after all. Excuse me. Oh, come on downstairs, Grim.
The throne room lies beyond these large doors. They were kept closed during the celebration as some renovations planned by Alexander and Cosima have not yet been completed. That door leads down into the basement. Graham can think of nothing worth investigating in the castle basement.
Nothing.
That
If you played
door
the
leads to the kitchen
Haunted
and
Castle
the gardens.
experience, you also know that door is a fast forward button to the Isle of Mists, of course.
A few weeks ago, Rosella asked her father if he would mind not walking her down the aisle through these hallways. Graham was hesitant until she explained that she felt it was something she had to do on her own, and that knowing her father saw that and believed she was strong enough, and that he was still there to support her would mean the world to her. She always did have to do things her own way, after all. Graham agreed, of course, and did feel a surge of pride in his little girl, all grown up, when she emerged into the gardens in her gorgeous gown, her eyes shining with love and her smile lighting up the day as she joined her true love at the altar.
Very much in retrospect, I keep forgetting how long some of these narration lines were, which is the reason there is a short narrations option in the audio menu. We did get very verbose in wanting to describe everything.
It's the cloak that dark creature left behind when it vanished.
Well, that seems important. Important enough for a panning camera.
Though not sure what good it will do to have just the cloak of the stranger in his hands, Graham takes the garment into his possession. Edgar's father, King Oberon of Etheria, looks both saddened and angry. He is no doubt worried for his daughter-in-law as well as for his son. Queen Titania stays silently at her husband's side. Noticing Graham, she looks at him with sorrow in her violet eyes, then casts them toward the ground again, restraining a heavy sigh.
Well, let's go chat with them.
Greetings, your highnesses.
Good day, Graham. I cannot tell you how sorry Oberon and I are for all that is happening.
You are most kind, my dear queen.
The downstairs
I hope
hallway.
there is something that can be done to break this enchantment on my poor children.
In particular, I mean, the courtyard area was designed, you know, to host the wedding, and primarily, and then we've got some scenes that come back here later. I think the layout for this part was done by the time that I joined the team. So I don't, if there were particular discussions around adding in this as opposed to using existing scenes from King's Quest VI, they were not ones that I was around for. So I'm not sure what the original reason for not using the actual throne room was. I think partly, actually, yeah, partly because we wanted to probably have the storm show up. And I think probably not get into having to go chase up that tower in the back that you use at the end of King's Quest VI. But I think it's a nice outdoor setting here. You know, we get to have the cool effects of the storm coming in and the rain coming down now.
It is truly unspeakable.
Add some things that fit the rest of the feel of the look of the place, but we're still our own.
But you still have your children, and there must be a way to save them.
We can only hope.
Let's talk about Edgar, shall we?
Do you think Edgar will recover from this all right?
It's hard to say. I've noticed that his fairy soul is still fragile, but he may yet surprise us.
He will recover only when his bride does.
They were both so happy these days. Rosella kept telling me these stories about how she loved your homeland so much.
It was wonderful to see her and Edgar there together, and so happy.
I'd give anything to undo what's happened to my little girl.
It must have been lovely being able to raise your own child. And Rosella is such an eager girl. All the time she spent with us, she was always inquiring about everything in sight. Etheria, Eldritch, Edgar.
That's Rosella.
Other things
Just
starting with
yesterday,
E.
I had to tell her to stop and go take a walk. She wouldn't talk about anything else but how she never found any reference to Edgar as a child in your lands. How young was he when Lelote took him?
Well, he,
Not long after Edgar disappeared, I commanded the lands to forget about him and never pronounce his name again, so that
how fairies
Titania
deal with
could
tragedy.
move on with her life and not live with the ghost of the son we never knew.
I agree. Valanice had difficult times when Alexander was stolen as an infant. Now she has to face that horror again.
you are all she has now.
I wish it could be otherwise, but she'll have to manage without me while I find a way out of this.
So some of the reason for the lack of references to Edgar and no pictures of him as a child has actually got to do with a storyline that was planned for him that would have gotten sort of more played out in the other two halves, the other 2/3 rather, of the game, where what he looked like would actually change by the end of the game, since he's got parents here. One of them is green, one of them is more traditional, if you will, human appearing. And the line used at the end of King's Quest IV, when his appearance is changed, the fairy Genesta says, "You should look like what you are," before she changes him. So we went on this idea of what if that's actually how he looks is actually not his natural born appearance. So by the end of the game, he was going to end up looking a little more like Titania. He would have had like blue skin or something like that, blue or green, something like that. And but Rosella would have come, would still be loving him for who he was and not what he looked like.
Do you know who that stranger might have been?
I have no idea. But Edgar saw him just before he worked his magic on your daughter.
I already asked him. He couldn't tell.
I tried too, but all he could do was grieve over Rosella.
Guys want to come inside?
Don't you two want to come inside? This weather is terrible to be standing in.
Oh, that's all right. I'd much prefer to stay outside. This garden reminds me of the beauty of my homeland, and I feel at peace with nothing but the sky above me.
Yes, all fairies do.
They're outdoorsy
Even
folk.
when the weather is bad as this, we do our best thinking out of doors. It helps calm our spirits. It is Titania's wish.
I understand.
Hello, hover.
I'd better be leaving. The sooner I find a way to help my children, the better.
Be careful, Graham.
Yes, be careful.
Alright. Let's get out of this place. Let's run out of this place. I was doing a practice stream the other day. Mikhail, one of the team members, made a reference to showing an old version of Graham's walk, which I think, if I remember right, was much more like he kept slouching his shoulders and kind of strutting around. Which I almost wish we had clips of because it was so ridiculous looking. Alright. Come on. There we go. Episode 1. We have title drop at last. What is decreed must be. And then the most exciting thing, which is my name showing up on screen. There it is! Yeah!
The guard dog, though gruff in appearance, looks lonely and sad.
Aw,
Graham
poor
can
guard
easily
dog.
imagine why.
Greetings, guard.
Eh? Oh, yes. Good day. How is the king, sire?
No worse and no better, I'm afraid. But I'm going off to seek help.
Is that true? Well, I wish you luck. And if you track down that fiend who has committed such a dastardly crime, be sure that he gets his just desserts.
Calm down, my canine friend. What's most important is the safety of the king and his sister.
Right. Right, sire. You're absolutely right. Just do whatever's possible to help my king, and we will all be more than grateful.
I think that dog is voiced by Rich, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at some stuff.
The castle of the crown stands solemnly.
What is decreed?
Stone walls darkened
No?
by the weather. Usually
Well, I
a
know
welcoming sight, the shadows
all of
cast
the,
by weather,
all the titles
everyone
are
to
Shakespeare
avoid
quotes, but I
darkness
don't remember off the top of my head where that one's from. I should probably look that up for this and the other ones later before I do this. Hamlet, maybe? Glide. Glide.
It looks like Casima's nightingale, Sing Sing, is raising a family of her own.
Aww.
Several noisy little nestlings are begging for food from their patient mother. She doesn't look happy in this downpour, though.
Yeah, he does.
Graham has seen Casima caring for the flowers here before. The queen sometimes spends hours at this place, listening to Sing Sing, spending time with Jollo, or just sitting under the shade of the tree, reading a book. Graham takes a look at the tormented tree as its branches are mercilessly caught in a tug-of-war in the winds, to the point of looking like they might even be torn off. The king can somehow relate. Inside of him, a wild storm
Everything comes back to your feelings, Graham.
Every nerve, at every inch of a man who has looked evil in the eye before and won, yet has never found a way to truly put it to an end for good. Graham stands at the crossroads on the... For as much as Graham knows he needs to try and help his family by seeking answers and aid in the Isles, His heart yearns to return to the castle and stay by his children's bedsides to be sure they aren't attacked again, and to comfort his beloved in this dark hour.
Alright. Well, hey, let's just go to the beach. That'll make us feel better, right?
What?
Yeah. Graham exclaiming, "What?" became one of my favorite go-tos for if we needed to throw a line of dialogue in somewhere for him later on.
By heavens!
Things are falling apart around here, man.
The village,
It's not good.
normally alive, Graham cannot help noticing the shuttered windows, but for some reason he feels eyes on his back, almost as if this were a village inhabited by ghosts. It saddens Graham to think that he should have been celebrating at the castle this day, drinking a glass of wine with Valenice, talking about the bright future of Edgar and Rosella, dancing at the wedding feast with his radiant daughter. But no one is celebrating today. Instead, fear and uncertainty grips not only his family, but the citizens of the Isles themselves. The banner is beyond repair.
Aw. And then we've got this crazy
On
guy.
any other occasion, Graham would laugh at the presence of such a character. Now, however, something about him crawls underneath the king's skin. Horrifying thoughts cross his mind, and the words he blows into the wind speak to Graham like some kind of bad omen that will not go unheard.
So the Doomsayer's appearance here actually came from a forum contest we had years and years ago about, you know, dress up in some kind of costume, and we had voting and whatnot, and we'll pick someone to appear in the Silver Lining.
Graham prefers
And
not
this
to
guy was the
touch this
winner.
man.
He had a
It makes him
name which
feel
was
very
something
uneasy, and he must stay
totally
focused.
unpronounceable, and I do not remember what it was, so he's now just the Doomsayer. Gone to wedding. Closed due to tragedy.
What?
And then it disappeared. Well, that's
Ali's
creepy.
bookstore. The windows are What would you do with it?
Hands on self.
Guards! Someone's trying to get... Well, fine. I'll stop if you do.
Alright. There's also a village over this way. But I don't think we can go there today. Oh, he's just gonna move. Okay. Oops. Yeah, that's closed off for now. We'll get there in episode 2. In the meantime, spooky things. Dun dun dun. The first appearance of the Ranger. The true identity of the Ranger, to be honest, changed multiple times over the course of development. Yeah. Depending on how long the game was going to be, what we had time to reveal, once it got shortened to these 5 episodes, kind of solidified, but there were a few possibilities for a while there.
The old ferry of the Green Isles has turned into a formal business now.
Let's go knock on the door.
There's no one in it. It would be just inhumane to have someone there in this foul weather. But then Graham sees Hassan standing under the rain and thinks it may just be possible to get a ferry ride today after all.
Let's take a nice sit. We've been walking a lot. Let's take a little break.
Now stop slacking, you. You have
Aw.
a family to save and a huge evil to fight, and I'm not going to stand around here and wait until you're done taking a breather.
Jeez.
Kings these days, they don't make them like they used to.
Alright, alright. We'll stop slacking.
Hassan, the ferry captain, stands by his vessel,
A
looking
tiny
as gloomy
crown.
as the weather.
Greetings, Hassan, isn't it?
Yes. What business do you have with me?
Let's see. Let's ask you about the
Do you have
stranger.
any idea who that stranger was who cast that dark spell on both Alexander and Rosella?
Stranger? Sorry,
Crown.
friend, but the crowd was so riled up I couldn't see a thing. I frankly don't want to get involved with something that nasty.
Even if it might mean restoring the health of your king?
Now look, don't get me wrong, but I don't stick my head where it don't belong. My way
Lighthouse
is the way
Crown.
of the sea and the tides. Mysterious strangers, I'm not going there.
Oh,
We'll either
son.
take someone real brave or real stupid to go after a fella like that.
Don't deny the call to
So
adventure,
you're
Hassan.
disturbed by the status of the king and his sister, huh?
You do what you have to do. We all have our place in life. Like I said, mine is the sea.
Son is just like, you do you, man. I'm just gonna do me.
Why
Sorry.
haven't we closed up
Sorry
our
about
business
business.
like the rest of the town?
Why? I'll tell you why. People can wait a day or two to buy or borrow books or pawn their valuables. But when it comes to businesses like mine, we've got to stay open every day, rain or shine. When people have got to get somewhere, this is the one place that's always open. And believe me, I'm really sorry about what happened at the castle today, but I can't leave my ferry. You never know when someone's going to show up and ask to be boated over to the Isle of Wonder or somewhere else. People's always got to be somewhere sometime.
They do.
Who would want to travel with the recent events?
Aye. Business could be better, friend. Could always be better. We were barely scraping by as it was, and then this tragedy had to happen. I'm in danger of losing my crew because I can't afford to pay them their wages. I sure hope both the weather and the king get better soon, so I don't end up out of business again.
And so that people don't have to rely on magic maps to travel around here.
Terrible times, my friend. Terrible times. I made the promise that I would never go out of business again. I just can't take being stranded on land. I get land sick, you know?
For someone like you, yes, I can understand.
Alright.
Can you please let me borrow your ferry for a while?
What about this ferry?
It's very important, both for the king and his sister.
Oh no. My business is hanging by a thread as it is, and I don't need your help in cutting it loose, stranger.
But I'm not a stranger. I'm the king's father. And I need your ferry so that I can get to another island to speak to someone who can help my children.
Very touching. But I'm afraid your story sounds like a tale of the high seas.
Hey.
You don't look like much more than a local villager.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Alright, fine. We'll convince
Thank
him.
you for talking with me.
We're just gonna go up here, dig in our knapsack, and take a look at this coin.
These are the newer editions of the Daventry coin. Despite his protests, an edition of the coin with Graham's face on it was released recently to accompany the old ones displaying the face of King Edward, his predecessor. Alexander gave his father some Graham would rather not be carrying anything touched by that evil stranger who cursed his children, but this thick black cloak is his only clue. Hopefully, it will help him discover the villain's identity.
And sometimes
That is not going to...
check it out. I'm loaded. Yeah, Frederick does appear to be the only actual crew member.
going to work.
At least he's the only one who was on duty today. So... Alright, if you don't believe me, check out this picture.
I am who I say I am.
You know, Hassan, it's probably not 50-50. He is the business owner and all. He seems like the kind of guy that pays himself first, so...
I had no idea.
Don't worry.
Maybe it's like 70-30.
That's what I get for dressing like this everywhere I go.
I actually thought it was fine attire, sir.
Oh, now you're just kissing up.
And keep the coin.
Thank you, Graham.
1 gold coin. Uh-oh. I lost my chat window. Reload?
Graham considers it, but then decides not to.
Oh, well. Pay the man.
Would Would this gold be sufficient payment for buying your business?
How much is that?
Should be enough to keep you in business for at least a week. And if it's not, I got more.
In the name of the 7 Seas, this is...
Oh.
As much money as you may think this is. I've got my crew to support,